Hello, this is Joe from Nerd in Korea. We are doing a deck check-in, and this is Ardenn and Rograkh. This is actually one of my decks that I really like. Okay, so reviewing decks, we are taking a look at Ardenn and Rograkh equipment deck. So this is very boros equipment. I think equipment is kind of like the most common boros thing, so or a theme. So not going to be blowing anyone's mind here, but I think it is quite a good one. So this is a partner commander deck that makes a dangerous combination. This is a very popular combination because they do work very, very well together. So there's Ardenn and Rograkh. Rograkh, son of Rograkh. Okay, so this deck on TCG Player is 131.61. I'm always making little fine-tuning it. Yeah, making little adjustments. So it probably won't stay that. Even I put these prices on, and then like a week later, the card values change as well. So it seems like it's always off, but hopefully not too much. So yeah. I haven't been able to play this in a while. I've actually done a whole bunch of like random upgrades to it and stuff, so I don't want to play it soon. Okay, my thoughts on Ardenn and Rograkh. So this is a partner commander deck. Is highly focused on getting the win through commander damage. So this deck is, first of all, Voltron, right? Voltron commander deck. Very boros, very equipment. All really about that commander damage, getting that 21 commander damage. You can close the gap pretty fast with this. So yeah, avoiding the equip cost is the main thing with this. There's also a lot of ways to like cheat equipment into play, mostly without paying for it. So that's a big help as well. Okay, so Ardenn, Intrepid Archaeologist. Very interesting take on Archaeologist, but anyway, okay. So he is 2 and a white for a 2/2. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may attach any number of auras and equipment you control to target permanent or player. So this could be useful with things like curses as well, because you can switch it between players. We don't use that in this. This is all about equipment. The major limitation he has, the major limitation is that he can only target one permanent with this, right? Permanent or player. So you can't really like just shuffle everything around on your board right when combat starts. This is like you put everything on one thing, which is what Voltron wants to do anyway, so it can be very useful. You can get things in and equip them to one creature, and then yeah, use that for defense, and then when it's offense time, you just like move it all onto one thing, and you've got like a big monster. So yeah, quite good for that, but keep that limitation in mind. He can only move all of that stuff to one thing. And yeah, Rograkh, I keep saying Rograkh. Rograkh, son of Rograkh. Alright, anyway. 0 cost for a 0/1. First strike, menace, trample. 3 abilities is nothing bad. It's nothing to sneeze at. So there are 2 important things that he provides to the deck. First, he provides the red color identity, right? You get red from him. Second, he's a 0 cost commander. That means until there's commander attacks, you can just take him out whenever you want, right? Casting him is really could not be easier. It's also very nice because yeah, you're gonna take him out and then yeah, basically just equip him and smash someone with him. He does not have haste, so if you want to do it on the first turn, you're going to need a source of haste, which I believe this deck does have. Star cards. Okay, this deck is all about equipment and effects that will make Rograkh unblockable. The main objective is to get 21 damage, right? There's a lot of effects where it's like double strike and doubling the power. So if you've got that, you can do it pretty easily, right? Even 6 damage with doubling it is 12, and then double strike means 24. You're already over that with 6. Really not pushing the envelope there. Pretty easy to do. Equipment matters cards. So these are huge in this deck, obviously. First up, Rebel Salvo. You might think this is lackluster, but it's amazing in this deck. 2 and a red, affinity for equipment, which means if you have 2 equipment, you cast it for 1 red. So Rebel Salvo deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker. That permanent loses indestructible until end of turn. Basically, the cost of it's an upgraded lightning bolt. Okay? It costs the same as lightning bolt, it does more damage, and if it's indestructible, it doesn't care. It's going to be able to destroy it anyway. Oh boy. And yeah, pay attention, yeah. That permanent loses indestructible until end of turn. So if you use this during combat, they're trying to block you with an indestructible, they think they're safe. You use this, you do the 5 damage. Maybe it doesn't take it out, but even it no longer has indestructible until the end of turn. So your attacking creature can probably finish it off. All that glitters. Okay. For, again, 1 and a white, this is an aura. We don't have a lot of auras in this deck, but the ones that do care about artifacts. So, enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or equipment you control. So yeah, every artifact, not just equipment, or sorry, enchantment. I think I said equipment before. It counts itself and, or sorry, does it? Yeah. It counts itself for there's 1/1/1 and any other artifact you have. Mana Rock's equipment, whatever it may be, it's going to boost that. So this is really amazing in this deck. Tiana, Ship's Caretaker. This is one of the higher CMC cards in here. So it's 3 red-white boros for a 3/3 flying first strike. Evasion and first strike is a very nice combination. Whenever an aura or equipment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Just automatic recursion on all of your equipment. Oh boy, oh boy. Dispatch. Alright, so for 1 white, tap target creature. Don't really care, right? Metalcraft. If you control 3 or more artifacts, you know, like your equipment, exile that creature. So this is a targeted removal exile for 1 white. Kind of like Swords to Plowshares, but they don't gain life. An Indomitable Archangel for 2 white is a flying 4/4. Artifacts you control have Shroud as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. Targeted removal is like one of the things you're going to want to really avoid for your artifacts. People taking out your really good artifacts. This protects just like the whole board worth. Amazing. Evasion. So evasion is very important, particularly if you're going the route of commander damage route. This is big. So Unquestioned Authority, 2 and a white. When it comes into play, draw a card. Always nice. An enchanted creature has protection from creatures. Protection from creatures is just unblockable, right? For one thing, not to mention any kind of abilities or anything they have, you just ignore them. Commander's Plate. Once again, protection from each color that's not in your commander's color identity. This is boros, this white-red. They're common ones, but unless someone is playing like mono white or mono red or another boros deck, having a bunch of creatures on the battlefield that can actually even deal with this or block it, it's possible they won't even have anything that they could use. So yeah. Also +3/+3 ain't too bad either. And Tiana's Ship's Caretaker I put here again because she is a flyer, so yeah. Equipping her with the flying stuff is always good. Whisper Silk Cloak, just straight up make it everything unblockable. That's always good. And Shroud for extra bonus. Master Warcraft. Okay, this is a weird type of evasion, but it is still. Basically, you play this and you decide how everyone attacks and blocks. So you get, even in a commander game, you have two of your opponents. You get one opponent to like throw everything at the other opponent, either take them out of the game or block in a way that is not good, so they take out each other's boards. And then, yeah, also that player's going to be tapped down because you attacked with all their creatures, so you can just walk in and like finish them off. Mean little trick, but a nice one. Keep them coming. Okay, so this is all about the card draw, right? Alright. Akiri, Furious Voyager, One red-white. Whenever you attack a player with one or more equipped creatures, draw a card. This is only one extra card draw, but it's one card draw per turn. I think people think one card draw, and that's not so great, but it's per turn. That means you're drawing 2 cards per turn. How often do you actually play more than 2 cards per turn? I think this is gonna like be enough to at least keep you at the same number of cards. Maybe you won't build up more cards over the turns, but you're probably like playing about the same number you're drawing. Well, including playing lands, maybe not, but we got other card draw, so that's okay. And for 1 white, you may unattach an equipment from a creature you control. If you do, tap that creature and it gains indestructible until end of turn. So yeah, especially Rograkh, you want to keep him on the battlefield. You want to make sure he doesn't keep getting kicked to the command zone. Any kind of targeted removal, I guess not any kind. If they use like, if they're exiling, then no dice, but yeah. Basically, you just unequip an equipment and boom, you're indestructible, which is going to survive the vast majority of removal and board wipes and things like that, so yeah. Leth, Soul of Steel. This is a big one. Again, 1 and boros for a 2/2 with Trample. Trample's lovely. And whenever Wireless Soul of Steel attacks, draw a card for each aura and equipment attached to it. Each. So again, you're going to take all of your equipment and just throw it on him and just launch him. And he's got Trample, so he's going to get some damage through, guaranteed, but you're just going to draw a whole mess of cards. And if you've got enough equipment, they might not be able to take him down as well. Jessica's Will. So the part we're caring about here, sorry, it's 2 and a red. We're looking at the second option. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. But yeah, also add a red for each card in target opponent's hand. So again, you have to choose one, but if you control one of your commanders, and that's something important to point out with this, both of your commanders count for this. You don't need to have them both out. One of them being out is enough, and yeah, you get to choose both modes then. Ramp and card draw on 1 card. Spear of Leonidas. Okay, for this, what we're talking about is discard 2 cards, then draw 2 cards. If you've got especially something like Wyleth, he's going to draw a whole pile of cards. You're not going to need everything. Be able to discard and then draw is a nice extra kind of filter. So yeah, it's not actually gaining, it's not card advantage because you're discarding, but the sorting is almost more important most of the time. And for 3, Sword of Once and Future. 2/2 and protection from blue and black. Another nice protection one. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player. Surveil 2. So that means you look at the top 2 and you can either put them back or into your graveyard. Again, that's not really card advantage. It's not drawing. It's sorting. It's making your card draw matter. That's really important. Really, if you can make your card draw matter, that's better than just having card draw, right? Just having card draw doesn't mean you're getting anything you need. Having much cards you don't need is the same as not drawing cards, really. So yeah, this is actually kind of deceptively good. Protection. The Wanderer. Okay, this is the only Planeswalker in the deck. 3 and a white. Okay, what she does is prevent all non-combat damage that we dealt to you and other permanents you control. This has saved me. This card is so good when you need it. It's just like it does all the work when you need it. There's so many decks that will do like auto damage. I love doing auto damage. I build a lot of decks with that. And if the Wanderer is out, it's just like, oh, okay, my strategy is turned off. And that's one of those cards that just turns off a strategy. I love that. Also, for a -2, exile target creature with power 4 or greater. Twice you can just exile things. We do also have one card that lets you proliferate. So if you've got that, and it's a Death Trigger Proliferate. If you have that, then you can proliferate and do it 3 times. So yeah, that's potentially useful. Baloth Barrel Entertainer. Baratal? I always say barrel. It's Baratal. Sorry. 4 and a red for a 2/5. Creatures your opponents control with power less than Baloth barrels are goaded. So goaded is great protection because it not only means they can't attack you, but they have to attack someone else. This is protection that like damages other people and opens up your options for attacks. This is just like insane protection. Whenever a goaded creature or goaded attacking or blocking creature dies, you may create a treasure token. So this is also protection ramp. We're adding ramp to that because, you know, we got to. Silent Arbiter. No more than one creature can attack each combat. No more than one creature may block each combat. This is so good for us because, again, Rograkh has trample, right? We only want to attack with Rograkh. They can only block with 1. I doubt we're going to be able to make Rograkh so big. I doubt they're going to be able to like block enough to stop the extra damage from like taking them out. It's not a hard thing to pull off anyway. Deflecting Palm. Basically, if you take damage, you reflect it back at them. It's an awesome ability, and it would red and a white for an instant. And yeah, they finally get through and they do damage you, and you're just like, okay, send it back. Especially with Silent Arbiter out, they're probably sending that big creature at you, and then yeah, or even big spell, I think. Yeah, next time a source of your choice would deal damage to you. A source, so even like if they've got some big X cost spell, they're hitting you with like 20 damage or something ridiculous. You're just like, okay, reflect it. Bounce right back at you. Well, we're bouncing back. Fiend Lash. Alright, Fiend Lash. Any damage dealt to a creature, you get to like reassign to the the player doing it. So actually, I think you could do anyone. Yeah, to target player or planeswalker. So you can use this as removal for planeswalkers and also just to take out other players. Especially with Silent Arbiter, they can block with one thing, and if they block with the thing that does damage, they're going to take that damage. The decision making gets real hard. And my board. Okay, so this is kind of how this approaches board wipes. Single combat. Each player chooses a creature or a planeswalker they control, then sacrifices the rest. We love this because we only want Rograkh out usually. As long as he's equipped, we don't really need Ardenn even. So yeah, we'll just like take out everything else except for Rograkh, and then he can like finish the job. Divine Reckoning. Again, each player chooses a creature they control, destroy the rest. And then it's 4 to cast this, and then 7. 7 is a lot, but you get to do it again with flashback for 7. This is really like a finisher. This is ending the game kind of spell. You're going to use this and just be like, okay, now I just end the game. And you know, 7 mana is a lot. If it ends the game, it's cheap. Desolation Giant. So he's a great one. 2 red, and he has a kicker. white. Okay, so he usually costs 4. Do not cast him for 4. So when he enters the battlefield, destroy all other creatures you control. Bad. If it was kicked, destroy all other creatures instead. So it's still going to hit your own creatures, but this is destroying everything on the board. Especially if you can cast Ardenn right after that. And yeah, he can just equip everything to Desolation Giant, hopefully giving it haste. Then you can just, again, probably at least remove one player from the game. The plan. So how does this deck play? Step 1, ramp and cost reduction. Step 2, get stuff. I mean equipment, of course, but in general, just stuff is fine. Step 3, win cons, as always. Okay, ramp cost reduction. We've got Ardenn, of course, our commander. This is the main thing. I usually don't put the commander on these lists, but this is the most important bit of cost reduction in the deck. His ability to just ignore equip costs is by far the biggest mana save that you're going to have. You could play this equipment deck probably 3 times and never actually pay to equip anything. That's crazy. Jessica's Will. We already talked about this, but yeah, adding 1 red for each card in target opponent's hand. Those like blue card draw decks kind of work in your favor pretty quick. Stone Hewer Giant. Okay, so we haven't talked about him before. 1 and a white, you can tap him. Excuse me. Search your library for an equipment card, put it onto the battlefield, attach it to a creature you control, then shuffle. Once again, he's ignoring the equip cost, which is great. Also, attached to a creature. Not attached to him, attached to just a creature. You choose whatever you want. Especially with something like maybe Whisper Silk Cloak. You can do this. Remember, you're doing this as an ability, so you can, you can just do this. Like someone, say, casts a removal spell on something of yours. You're like, oh, I don't want to lose that. 1 and a white, tap him, go get Whisper Silk Cloak, put it straight into the battlefield, equip to that creature. There you go, no longer a legal target because it has Shroud. You can be very sneaky with this, is my point. And yeah, Barrel, we already talked about, but his ability to just not only go to the creatures, but if they die by attacking or blocking, you're making treasure. Every time. Oh boy. Armored Sky Hunter. Okay, so whenever it attacks, this is the limitation right here. It is once per turn. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put an aura or equipment card from among them onto the battlefield. Again, straight into the battlefield. If an equipment is put into the battlefield this way, you may attach it to a creature you control. Once again, on a creature. It doesn't specify it or what creature or anything. This card was way under $1 for a long time. I think it's over $3 now, which is still pretty cheap for what it does, but I kept thinking I was like reading the card wrong because like the price was so low compared to what it did. It finally went up and I was like, oh, I'm literate, that's fun. Oh, there you go. I had the air conditioner on. I'm supposed to turn it off because of the noise. It's summer in South Korea, which is no joke. South Korea is like on the same, what is it called? Longitude as Georgia in the United States. So it's hot here. It's no joke. All right. Getting stuff. Okay, fighter class. Again, boros, a red and a white. And when it enters the battlefield, search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, then put it into your hand. Shuffle. Just get any equipment you want into your hand. This is great. It is important to know your equipment and have an idea of like, oh, what do I want to get and what's in which situation. So like, if you just want unblockable Whisper Silk Cloak, if you want to add damage, there's a whole bunch of different options there. If you're looking for particular abilities, there's different options. So yeah, really know the deck is important for this. You can also level it up. So equip abilities you activate cost 2 less to activate. We kind of don't care about that a lot. If Ardenn is getting knocked to the command zone a lot, this is a great backup option though. And whenever a creature you control attacks with up to 1 target, creature blocks this turn combat if able. It lets you choose the blocker. That can be very useful as well. I probably wouldn't do that myself, but I would stick with just the base one usually. Alright, and... oh. Hello, hello, hello. Get stuff. Okay. You know what? Okay. I think I took my hand down too late. Get stuff. Okay. Fighter class. This, basically, I would only really use this for its tutor effect in this deck. If Ardenn is getting smacked to the command zone a lot, maybe you want to go to level 2. But yeah, when it enters the battlefield, search your library for an equipment, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Know your equipment. That's really important. Know which, you know, if you want like unblockable or a shroud or something like that, you got Whisper Silk Cloak. If you need combat abilities, there's a whole bunch of options there. Yeah, so the only one I would do, and remember, leveling up these classes is only at sorcery speed. You can't do this on someone else's turn. Equip abilities of you activate cost 2 less to activate. Ardenn kind of does this, but if you're having trouble keeping it on the board, it's nice to have a backup. So that's 1 white red, or 1 red white, whatever. Search for glory. I think this is like the most underrated tutor in the game. 2 and a white. Search your library for a snow permanent, don't care. A legendary card, a saga, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. You gain 1 life for each. You don't care about that part. Okay, so a legendary card or a saga. Again, we only have this 1 saga, fighter class. Fighter class is not a saga. What am I talking about? So yeah, legendary. We got legendary equipment. We got legendary creatures. Whatever you need, this can go find it, right? If you need a creature, you can get the creature. If you need legendary equipment, hey, there it is. This really does a lot. Tajnar, Swordsmith. So this is kind of... So when he enters the battlefield, you may pay X. If you do, search your library for an equipment card with converted mana cost X or less, and put that card into the battlefield. Shuffle your library. So it is taking it straight from from your deck and putting it into the battlefield. That's great. You do have to pay the full price for it though, or you have to pay the mana cost. I'd recommend this mostly with things like Whisper Silk Cloak or something where it's, I think it's only 2 for Whisper Silk Cloak. So you can cheat in a lot of things that don't have a really high mana cost without like breaking the bank here. You don't want to use like Called Out Complete with this because that would be an insane amount of mana to pay. Again, I'm thinking with Barrel, if you got a bunch of treasures to sacrifice, maybe it's okay. Anyway. Win con number 1. This is our main one, Commander Damage. Okay, Rograkh, son of Rograkh, of course, so first strike, menace, trample. Slash the ranks, destroy all creatures and planeswalkers except for commanders. You have 2 commanders. This does not hit either of them. So if Ardenn and Rograkh are out, you're keeping them both when you cast this. Everyone else loses all the other stuff is gone, including planeswalkers. That's really like, I think a lot of people don't realize how good that is. There are more and more Super Friends decks where they're just playing lots of planeswalkers. This is just going to like devastate them. And finally, Rayav, Smithmaster, or Master Smith, Smithmaster. Whenever a creature you control that's enchanted or equipped attacks, that creature gains double strike until end of turn. So we've got actually many sources of double strike, but yeah, this is going to make Rograkh pretty easy to get commander damage with. He's, again, kind of a stand-in for all the different sources of double strike. We do have many, like the Spear of Leonidas and more, but I can't think of them off the top of my head now. Number 2, combat. So just regular old combat. Champion of the Flame is amazing in this deck. 1 in red for a 1/1 with trample. 1 with trample, okay. Champion of the Flame gets +2/+2 for each aura and equipment attached to it. So Ardenn is just going to throw all of your equipment onto him, and he gets an extra +2/+2 for each one. So the equipment, a lot of the equipment is going to give a bonus to damage and toughness as well. And he's got trample, so he's just going to be like a terrifying monster that can take someone out of the game pretty easily. Alright, all that glitters. Again, enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or equipment you control. So this is each artifact or equipment. Oh, sorry, yeah, enchantment. I keep saying equipment instead of enchantment. Artifact or enchantment. So he's getting +2/+2. This is basically +3/+3 and even more +1/+1s because you're going to have like mana rocks, you're going to have other enchantments. So yeah, this doesn't care if it's an aura. He cares if it's an aura and it's attached to him. This only says it has to be like on the battlefield at all. And finally, Unquestioned Authority, we talked about already. Draw a card, protection from creatures. So basically just make him unblockable. He has trample anyway, but this is just extra mean, I guess. So yeah. Win con number 3, combat 2, Kemba. So this is actually a very different strategy. Kemba, you're going to equip, and then, yeah, for 1 white, at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 2/2 white creature token for each equipment attached to Kemba Ka region. So this is the token version, right? You're just going to make a mass of tokens and then throw all the tokens at them. So we got our combat where it's like make one big creature, and our combat where it's like just token combat where we're just throwing a whole bunch of little guys at them. Or little guys and one big guy, basically, yeah. We also have things like Legion Leadership to double target creature's power and it gains first strike. Very nice combination, also instant speed. This is something we'd use for our commander damage as well, and also we can use for our like big guy combat damage. But anyway, and Spear of Leonidas I talked about before, so yeah, the gains double strike until end of turn is even Kemba plus equipment plus Legion Leadership and Spear of Leonidas. You can probably take someone out and be set up to make a whole bunch of tokens to like finish the game on the next turn. Non-combat damage, we could get to do that too. So Spike Shot Goblin is 2 and a red for a 1/2. For a 1 red, you can tap him and he deals damage equal to his power to any target. We also have a bunch of, I think 3 creatures that when they die or when they go to the graveyard, they do damage, right? So we're going to get those, equip them, and then use Soul's Fire. Target creature you control deals damage equal to... Oh, sorry. You can use this at any time. Target creature creature you control deals damage equal to its power to any target. So again, Spike Shot Goblin, 1 red, tap him. Whole pile of damage directly to someone's head, and then Soul Fire. You can use this before or after, and then just like basically a double strike without having to actually do combat. Very, very mean. Win con number 5. This is what I started talking about. I'm getting confused about my win cons. Non-combat damage number 2. So we've got Balduvian Berserker. We also have 2 other cards, Cacophony Scamp and Hellfire Charger, I think it's called. The main thing here is when it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. It also has Enlist. So Enlist, as this creature attacks, you may tap a non-attacking creature you control without summoning sickness. When you do, add its power to this creature's until end of turn. So basically, you can attack with him, tap your whole board, add a whole bunch of extra damage, and then he'll attack. And if they don't stop him, you're going to use Pyritic Blast. So this is 3 in a red. Also, Fling. I have Fling, I can't find it. I think I've got 3 copies of it I can't find. As an additional cost of the spell, sacrifice a creature. So it deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to any target. Draw a card. So basically, you're going to boost him up by enlisting. Then, if he doesn't die, you're going to kill him with Pyritic Blast. And then his trigger is going to go off, and Pyritic Blast is going to do damage. Basically, again, that kind of double strike for non-combat double strike. I love it. Once again, we got like 3 different sources of this, and when I find one of my copies of Fling, I'm going to put that in the deck as well. So there's going to be a 1 mana option for that. And win con number 6, because we're just mean. Infect. Terrible. Anyway, 3 and a white 4, Tine Strike. He's a 2/1 flyer with Infect. And then we just have Colossus Hammer. Equipped creature gets +10/+10 and loses flying. So Tine Strike is going to probably need some kind of other evasion, but yeah. Or just unblockable, or make it so, yeah, there's no creatures that can block him is what I mean. Tap down their board. Yeah, so basically that's one shot, right? He's going to be doing 12 damage in poison counters. There you go. Done. Even if someone blocks, remember they get minus counters. If they block with the creatures get minus counters. So even indestructible things, probably going to take them out. And you can give them trample pretty easy too, so you can still get the damage through and get those poison counters through. Final thought. So this deck is really all about being able to avoid equip costs and suddenly have a massive creature. So this is gonna, like, I don't think people really realize, unless they're adding things up every round, how big one creature can get just all of a sudden, right? At the start of the combat, you're like, oh, now I have like this, 20/20 monster creature that has like a whole bunch of trample, first strike, all kinds of abilities, and it's probably unblockable to boot. So it gets out of hand quickly, is my point. This is also an odd equipment deck because it doesn't really matter, for the most part, exactly which equipment you have, but how many you have out for Ardenn to equip. Which equipment can be important, but there's a lot of overlap in what the equipment does. Really, we're looking for abilities, damage boost, evasion. There's lots of equipment that can do 2, if not all 3 of those things. So it's really just about getting lots of equipment out. Specific equipment is always good, but it almost doesn't matter at a certain point. You're going to just win. Anyway, take it easy.